Hello, this is Stephen Dupree of NowEnergetics.com, based on YUEN Method, and we're back in the car today and taking a little trip. It's July 3rd here, and it's about 57 degrees here in New England and rainy, so it's kind of a strange weather we're having this year, back and forth. I wanted to talk about an area of perception that we don't visit very often with YUEN Method, and we don't talk about it much these days, but it was something that was pretty significant back in the day. It's called decade weakness. So you can imagine where people talk about, when they were younger and there were certain times in their life that, oh boy, that was a tough time in my life. And well, there really is an impact of what decade these various things occur with you, back through time, sometimes back through incarnations, if you believe in that kind of thing. And it's an area that we don't look at too often, but it should come up more often than it does, because one of the things that often weakens our energy, and we could have multiple decade weaknesses. We could be in our 40s and have a 50 decade weakness ahead of us, or we could be 60 and we could have several decade weaknesses behind us, that we haven't resolved in the teens, 0 to 10, and that's kind of the way we denote it: 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, that type of thing. So that's kind of how we check to see whether the energy goes weak on any one of those decades. And very often with folks, it's a very kind of hidden but can be very significant weakness in their energy to go back and, as far as a perception block, something that could be blocking them, especially if it's something in the past of say this incarnation, where you're looking back in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. And then it could connect with other lifetimes as well. So it may be something that's unresolved, much like any other unresolved weakness that could be significant in your life. You could have a decade weakness from 10 to 20 that's occurred, and you can even profile it, 1,000 times or something like that, that needs to be resolved, right? So that decade energy kind of holds down your neutrality during that time period. And, that's kind of a pretty significant thing when you think of it. If something lasts, a decade is a long time for something to weaken you, as an example, and then you plow through that decade and then get beyond it eventually. But one of the things that happens sometimes when we have a decade weakness is that we may have our ancestors could give us that decade weakness, or we may have a decade weakness where we are affected because we have so many experiences where we didn't get past that decade. So let's say that what comes up in someone's energy is a 50s, a 40 to 50 decade weakness. Well, in the past, it's very possible that person is never, has so many experiences in their existences that they've never actually gotten by. Most of the time, they've never gotten by their 40s or their 50s. So as soon as you reach that decade, or you're coming upon the next decade, you have a tremendous weakness there. So that's just an area of YUEN Method that we should be aware of in terms of, it's sort of a perception block, so to speak. If you look at the 16 common ones, I've been debating whether I should put that decade weakness in there as, say, a 17th block or something like that, because it does come up. If you get it enough in your field, you'll know enough to not sort of bat it away when you get insights that something happened when a person was 17. Well, maybe that whole decade is weak for that person and not just that event. So it's another area you want to be kind of aware of when you do the work. And I just thought I'd bring it up and do a short kind of video on that as I'm driving out to Western Massachusetts. So I hope this sort of informs your work in terms of perception blocks. And please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And thank you very much for watching my channel, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.